Hey everybody, I am just they've changed the way Zoom posts to Facebook, so this is new. So give me just a second to make sure I've got everything going the way it should be. I see there's one person on, and I am a couple of minutes early. So let me just make sure I've got everything going here. Okay. Now, let me get all this stuff off the table so you guys can see what I'm doing. So this is a super simple block that we're going to do today. Hi, Gail. Keep my mouse over here so I can move around. There we go. Okay, so I made 2 of the blocks already, and we're just going to make the one last one. It's only going to take a couple of seconds to make this block today. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, so we've gotten probably 3/4 of this sampler done. And next week, I'm going to do a tutorial for something different. But then we'll go back to doing our blocks again. But next week, I'm going to do a tutorial on making a pouch that I designed this last week. So that should be fun, something different. Anyway, we will go ahead and make this block. And hi, Laura. How's everybody doing today? How's the weather where you are? It's a little cooler here today than it has been the last few days. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a pin in this. Try and make these nice. I'm going to go ahead and move over to the sewing machine and sew this little block. So this block is super simple. I sent out a pattern for you guys to your email this morning. But all we're going to do is sew these 1-inch strips on the sides of this 1.5-inch strip. And then we're going to sew the bottom and the top. And it'll look just like these ones. Gloomy and windy. It's sunny here, but it's breezy and a little bit cooler than it has been the last couple of days. So I don't mind it being cooler out. Make sure that this is pointed the right direction here. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew this little guy up. It's such a simple little block, but I think it comes out super cute. It's so funny. I think no matter what you make, if you make it really tiny, it is cute. It doesn't matter what it is. So it's funny when you look at it in the picture, it looks like it's a big, big block and they're really long and everything, but then you realize it's just a mini quilt and they're very small blocks. So I sewed those other 2 blocks up this morning before I left for work, so that when I got home, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I go to my shop, which is really just an office where I keep all of the cutting stuff and all of my fabric. And so I was there today cutting the Liberty for the box for next month. And I usually get home just a few minutes before I have to go live. So sometimes I'm a little crazy. Okay, so I'm going to go and press this real quick. Hi, Anne. So I'm pressing toward the print on these. And then what I did was the darker block is going to go in the middle of the 2 lighter ones. And so the top and bottom, I pressed away from the center. And on these lighter ones, I'm pressing toward the center on the top and bottom pieces so that they'll nestle so that the seams will nestle together. So I am just putting these top and bottom on one block. This is such a quick one. We're going to be done really fast, but then I'm going to talk about the little pouch. Well, it's a big pouch actually that I'm going to show you how to make next week. Then we'll go back to the week after that. We'll go back to finishing up our little sampler. But this way, this week will give you a little bit of time to catch up if you haven't made one or two of the other blocks. You'll have a little time to catch up for that. Okay, that was so fast. It's all done already. Hello, Patsy from Alabama. So I am going to go ahead and press this one. Then we'll sew the three together. Now I was going to show you how I transfer two different ways that you can transfer the stitching pattern on if you have never done that before. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is sew these three together to make that section of the mini quilt. So we'll do that real quick. So what I did was I pressed the seam on the top and the bottom away from the center on the dark block and towards the center on the light blocks so that I could nestle the seams and get them to match up nicely when I put this together. Just makes it a little neater. So this week on Thursday, if you're in the Tilda Club or the Liberty League, or both, Thursday will be our regular members meeting. And I think we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up in the next couple of months. If you read my email from the weekend, and if you're in Liberty and you read my email from the weekend, you will know that we're going to start doing a block of the month with Liberty, which I think will be super, super fun. And I'm super excited about it. I don't want to tell you too much because I want it to be a little bit of a surprise. But, should be really fun. From a designer I really, really love. You guys have liked some of the things that we've done with her before, so I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, so we've got that seam done. Now we'll do the last seam, which is this one. I love the way this sampler is coming out. I think it's going to be so adorable when it's all finished. Did you guys see the embroidered block that was, shoot, now I can't remember who posted it. I'm sorry, you guys, my brain is dead today. There's taxes due and all kinds of stuff today. So I've got a million things going through my head, but somebody posted the most beautiful embroidered block of the 3 or 4 flowers that we did a couple of weeks ago. And she did shading on the flowers and oh, so pretty in the Facebook group. You guys should go look at it. It's really, really pretty. Okay, so that's all sewn together. Now I'm going to press it. goodness, it's snowing. Okay, so here's our little section. I'm going to go ahead and press it real quick. I think I'm going to press away from the center because I used linen for that. And so it's a little heavy to turn that seam backwards. So let it lay flat. So there it is, all done, and it's so cute. And what I'm going to do is pull out my light board. So there are lots of different ways to transfer a stitch design onto your fabric. My favorite way is to use my light board. This one is one that I got from Cricut, and I really like it. Sally has one that you can cut on, which is pretty neat. This one has different, you make it brighter or darker, so that's kind of nice. So I used a printer that prints on both sides, and I printed on both sides. So I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but I can see it really well. So even through linen, I can still see this and I can draw it. So I'm going to use, I like to use either a micron pen, a gray micron pen, or a brown micron pen. And this is a friction pen, which works just fine too. If you don't use something that's too dark, you can, that won't show underneath your stitching. You can use pretty much whatever pen you want to, as long as it's a permanent pen. The friction pens, of course, are not permanent. They iron away. But if it's light enough, you don't have to worry about it getting, it coming back on you, you know, as friction pens will do sometimes if your quilt gets cold or whatever. So if it's light enough and it's under your stitching, you don't have to worry about that. So, and I just am sketching the flower on there. This is kind of a gray ink, and it might show underneath my stitching, but I'm actually going to use a dark blue, so I think it'll be just fine. So that's one way that you can mark your fabric. There is also, and I will show you, I have a pencil here. Hold on just a sec, let me find it. So there, I've went ahead and drawn it using my light box. So that's one way you can do it. The other way is there is a pencil, sorry. And it's red like this. You just draw right on your design, but you want to do it backwards. So what I would do is take this design, put it on a plain piece of paper, flip it over, draw around it with this pencil. And the pencil is actually an iron-on pencil. And then you just flip it over onto your project and iron it, and the red pencil will mark on your project. So that's another way that you can mark your stitching onto your fabric. And if you're wondering, you can see it. You're not patient enough for embroidery. Shelly, to tell the truth, I don't know if I felt like I was either. And doing handwork, I liked to do binding just because that was the end of the quilt. It was kind of my way of saying goodbye to the quilt. And so I like to do that. But doing handwork, I didn't like to do that much when I was working outside of the home. I still work outside of the home, but I kind of this is kind of my job now. So I guess it's a little different, but yeah, so some people don't like to do handwork, and I totally get that. And I do it while I'm watching TV too, just like Laura said. I really like to do the embroidery while I'm watching TV. And believe it or not, it seems like it would take a really long time, but especially these, because all I'm doing is like I'm either doing a back stitch or I'm doing a chain stitch when I'm doing these. It's really pretty quick, and it usually only takes me maybe an hour while I'm watching TV to do something small like this. So maybe not even that long. Actually, this might only take like a half an hour to do. Even when I was filling in with satin stitch on those flowers that I did, I don't think it took me more than 1 or 2 hours to do all of them. And that was while I was watching TV, watching a movie or something. But if that's not your thing, it's not your thing. And that's the whole reason why I made this sampler the way I did, so that you guys can just piece it if you want to. You don't have to do the hand stitching if you don't want to. You can just do it however you want. Anyway, and these little center pieces are a great place to put your buttons, because that was the whole point of this, wasn't it? To have your buttons on there. So, and also I've been sending, and I meant to bring some home with me tonight, but I didn't. I've been sending out little square buttons, and they would look super cute on the squares and the rectangles that I've done in a couple of these blocks. So that's the other thing, that's the reason I made the rectangles and the square ones, is to use those square buttons. So anyway, you don't have to do the, that's why it says optional. See, optional handwork. You don't have to do the handwork if you don't want to. It's just for those of us who, like this year, one of my goals for the year was to learn to embroider better. And so even though these are really simple little embroidery designs, they're not a big deal at all. To me, it's like, okay, this is my way of practicing these little things that I've always wanted to learn to do better. I've always wanted to learn to embroider better. And I've always felt like it's kind of like my handwriting. And you guys have seen my handwriting. It's terrible. But I feel like it's the same thing with embroidery. My embroidery has always been shaky and not pretty. And so I've just wanted to learn to do it better. So that's why I'm doing that. Anyway, let me show you the pouch that we're going to work on next week. I'm writing a pattern for this. This is humongous. Can you see how big this is? It's hard to tell in pictures how big this is, but it's big enough. So it's a knitting project bag, or whatever you want to use it for. It's a zipper pouch. It's a block zipper pouch. I pieced in the selvage because it says I love yarn. And this is actually big enough to hold, I'm making a sweater, and it's big enough to hold my sweater project. But the pattern is going to have 3 different sizes. It'll have this big one for holding a sweater type project if you are if you're a knitter. Of course, you can use this for anything. It doesn't have to be just used for knitting, but the fabric has yarn on it. I mean, yeah, you have to make something to knit with, right? And then it'll have a medium size, which will be about half the height of this, but still the same width. And that one's going to be called the socks box. And it will have 2 grommets in the top to put your yarn through. If you're making 2 socks at a time, you'll be able to put 2 balls of yarn in it so that you can knit 2 socks at a time. And so that one's going to be called the socks box, and it'll be about half the height of this one. And then there'll be a mini version about this big that you can use to hold tools or notions or whatever for your knitting or for your sewing, whatever you like to do. But anyway, so this is the pouch that I'm going to show you how to make next week on Tuesday. And the inside has a little pocket, which is hard to see in this picture, but there's a pocket there, and it's got a little flap so that if you want to put your stitch markers in there, they won't fall out. And it's completely finished on the inside. There's no, You don't have to make any bias tape to cover any of your seams. It's all lined and finished. And as you can see, there's no binding. So you have yarn all, I have yarn all over. I mean, you know, you've seen the yarn behind me in my sewing room, right? So anyway, this fabric collection is supposed to be here pretty soon. I saw that some people had already gotten theirs, but mine hasn't been shipped yet. So hopefully it'll come in the next week or so. But it's super cute fabric. I love this little bird fabric. There's little tiny dots that are metallic gold on here, which are super cute. Anyway, it's got, there's these little flowers are gold. It's got, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just super sweet. I love Sarah Watts. She makes the cutest fabric. So anyway, this is just one of those things that was kind of a wild, crazy buy for me to buy this collection, but I thought it was super fun. And I love anything that is knitting related when it comes to fabric. So I love little sheep fabric and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, we will be making this next Tuesday. And so it will be a little bit of a longer tutorial next Tuesday night. But yes, Shelly, oh my goodness, thank you for asking, because half of the reason I was telling you about this is I am going to make kits. So I'm going to do kits with the different fabrics. So it'll be, I will color coordinate them. So there's this one, this is the lighter version. There's one that's going to be darker with the dark blue for the bird fabric. And I'll coordinate the interior as well. This one I had to make out of fat quarters because that's all I had for samples. So it's got 2 different fat quarters for the interior. But, and then it'll come with the twill tape and it'll come with the zipper that matches. So yeah, I'm going to make kits for these. And you'll be able to just buy the supplies without buying the fabric if you want to use your own fabric as well. So I'll make just the zipper twill tape supply kit as well. So, and I'm glad you asked, Shelly, because I totally would have forgotten to tell you guys that. But yes, I am making a kit for these. So, and I think it's the perfect thing for kits, right? And there's enough left over to make the small version of the pouch too, if you even just get fat quarters. So yeah. Anyway, so it was good to see you guys. Thursday we've got our meeting, so don't forget about that. And I hope you guys will come. And I will see you then. Can't wait to see your faces because I miss you guys when I don't see you. And I hope you have a good evening and a good Wednesday. And I will see you on Thursday. Well, you know, if you love to sew and you love to do crafts, of course, you're going to collect your yarn and your fabric. But this is really great for holding your yarn. I'll tell you what, it'll hold some yarn. Like you could probably put, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would say you could probably put 9 big skeins of yarn in this. It's a big, so it's good. Okay, girls, good to see you. See you on Thursday. Hey, Robin. Yes, so I made a pattern. The block is what we made tonight, this. And I sent that out in email if you're in the club. If you're not, get on our wait list because I sent it out to the wait list as well. And for the pattern for the pouch, it will be free for the club, like it always is. And then it'll be a small fee on the website, or it'll come with the kits if I sell the kits, if you buy a kit. And if you don't buy a kit, then the pattern will be up on my website for purchase. Okay, talk to you soon, you guys. Have a great couple of days before I see you on Thursday. See you Thursday night. Bye.